Good morning, dear student of higher secondary second year. Hope you and your family members are well by God's grace. Don't be afraid, don't be confused. Our good Lord will lead us in the right path. Dear students, in English this year we have totally 6 units. Each unit comprises of a prose, a poem and a supplementary. Now we are going to focus our attention to unit 2. It consists of one prose, that is a nice cup of tea, poem, Our Cashew Nut Tree, and supplementary, Life of Pi. First of all, let us learn the prose, A Nice Cup of Tea. This is an essay by George Orwell. It is a description of the craft of making tea. About the author. Eric Arthur Blair, better known by his pen name George Orwell, was an English novelist, essayist, and journalist. He is best known for the allegorical novella Animal Farm. This prose is given in page number 35 of your English reader. Orwell highlights the distinctive features of preparing a nice cup of tea. Orwell's recipe on making a nice cup of tea contains 11 golden rules. We are going to learn about these 11 golden rules in this prose. Children, what is the title of the prose? A Nice Cup of Tea. Who is the author? George Orwell. How many golden rules are there? 11 golden rules are there. Who mentioned these 11 golden rules? George Orwell. I am going to read this prose paragraph by paragraph and explain it to you. Listen carefully. Take your English notebook and be ready to write down the synonyms and the question answers when I give. Note down the title. The title of the lesson is A Nice Cup of Tea and the author George Orwell. Let me read the first paragraph. If you look up tea in the first cookery book that comes to hand, you will probably find that it is unmentioned, or at most you will find a few lines of sketchy instructions which give no ruling on several of the most important points. Orwell says the cookery book that we have in our hand does not say anything about the preparation of tea. Cookery means skill of food preparation. Even if they do, they mention only few points. Second paragraph. This is curious, not only because tea is one of the mainstays of civilization in this country, as well as in Ireland, Australia and New Zealand, but because the best manner of making it is the subject of violent disputes. The author says this is curious. Students, curious means interesting. Orwell says this is curious because tea is very famous in countries like Ireland, Australia and New Zealand, and always there is dispute in the matter of making tea. Here we have two questions in this paragraph. Question number 1. What seems curious to the author? Answer. Preparing a nice cup of tea seems curious to the author. Question number 2. Mention the countries in which tea is a part of civilization. Ireland, Australia and New Zealand have tea as part of their civilization. Now let me read the third paragraph. When I look through my own recipe for the perfect cup of tea, I find no fewer than 11 outstanding points. On perhaps 2 of them there would be pretty general agreement, but at least 4 others are acutely controversial. Here are my own 11 rules, every one of which I regard as golden. In this essay, he gives 11 outstanding points to prepare a nice cup of tea. Out of these 11 points, 2 are general, 4 are controversial. Controversial means arguable. Students, out of 11 points, how many are general points? 2. How many points are controversial? 4. Let me read the next paragraph. First of all, one should use Indian or Ceylonese tea. China tea has virtues which are not to be despised. Nowadays, it is economical and one can drink it without milk. But there is not much stimulation in it. One does not feel wiser, braver or more optimistic after drinking it. Anyone who has used that comforting phrase, a nice cup of tea, invariably means Indian tea. Author says one should use Indian or Ceylonese tea. China tea is economical and has virtues. Virtues means admirable qualities. Virtues means admirable qualities. But we can't get any stimulation. Stimulation means excitement. Stimulation means excitement. So we can't get any excitement when we drink China tea. Moreover, one does not feel wiser, braver, or optimistic. Optimistic means positive. Optimistic means positive. Students, according to the author, which tea is economical? China tea is economical. Which tea is economical? China tea is economical. Students, in this paragraph, we have two questions. Question number 3, which tea does the author prefer, China tea or Indian tea? Answer, the author prefers Indian tea to China tea. The author prefers Indian tea to China tea. Question number 4, according to the author, what does the phrase a nice cup of tea refer to? Here, students, you must know what is a phrase. A phrase is a group of words which does not consist of a subject and a verb. What is a phrase? A phrase is a group of words which does not consist of a subject and a verb. The answer for this question is, the phrase a nice cup of tea means that something that suits someone nicely. The phrase a nice cup of tea means that something that suits someone nicely. Let me read the next paragraph. Secondly, tea should be made in small quantities, that is, in a teapot. Tea out of an urn is always tasteless, while army tea made in a cauldron tastes of grease and whitewash. The teapots should be made of china or earthenware. Silver or Britannia ware teapots produce inferior tea, and enamel pots are worse, though curiously enough, a pewter teapot is not so bad. Secondly, Orwell says tea should be made in small quantities in a teapot. Tea out of an urn is always tasteless. Army tea prepared in a cauldron. Cauldron means a big pot used for boiling. Cauldron means a big pot used for boiling. Army tea prepared in a cauldron. So, the tea prepared in army tastes grease and whitewash. Why did the tea prepared in army taste grease and whitewash? The tea prepared in army taste grease and whitewash because they prepare tea in large quantities. In this paragraph, the author recommends pots made of china or earthenware or pewter teapot. In this paragraph, we have two questions. Question number 5, what is the second rule in the preparation of tea? Answer, the second rule is that tea should be made in teapot in small quantities. The teapot should be made of china or earthenware. The second rule is that tea should be made in teapot in small quantities. The teapot should be made of china or earthenware. Question number 6. How does army tea taste? Army tea tastes of grease and whitewash. How does army tea taste? Army tea tastes of grease and whitewash. Next paragraph. Thirdly, the pot should be warmed beforehand. This is better done by placing it on the hob than by the usual method of swilling it out with hot water. Here in this paragraph, Orwell says that the teapot should be warmed beforehand by placing the teapot on the hob. Hob means flat top part of a stove or flat metal surface near the fireplace. Hob means flat top part of a stove or flat metal surface near the fireplace. Next paragraph. Fourthly, the tea should be strong. For a pot holding a quart, if you are going to fill it nearly to the brim, 6 heaped teaspoons would be about right. In a time of rationing, this is not an idea that can be realized on every day of the week, but I maintain that one strong cup of tea is better than 20 weak ones. All true tea lovers not only like their tea strong, but like it a little stronger with each year that passes, a fact which is recognized in the extra ration issued to old age pensioners. In this paragraph, the author Orwell says that he likes only strong tea than weak one. He also mentions that one strong cup of tea is better than 20 weak ones. Orwell says those who drink tea usually like strong tea. True tea lovers increase their tea strong year by year. This fact is recognized in the extra ration issued to old age pensioners. Here we have a question. Do tea lovers generally like strong tea or weak tea? Tea lovers generally like strong tea. Do tea lovers generally like strong tea or weak tea? Tea lovers generally like strong tea. Next paragraph. Fifthly, the tea should be put straight into the pot. No strainers, muslin bags, or other devices to imprison the tea. In some countries, teapots are fitted with little dangling baskets under the spout to catch the stray leaves, which are supposed to be harmful. Actually, one can swallow tea leaves in considerable quantities without ill effect. And if the tea is not loose in the pot, it never infuses properly. Fifthly, George Orwell says the tea should be put straight into the pot. No strainers or muslin bags should be used. Muslin means a thin, fine cotton cloth. In some countries, people use hanging baskets under the opening of the teapot in order to catch the tea leaves. But Orwell says if anyone swallows tea leaves, there is no ill effect. Here, dangling means hanging freely. Dangling means hanging freely. Spout means opening in a teapot. Spout means opening in a teapot. Students, here is a question from this paragraph. What is the fifth rule? The tea should be put straight into the pot is the fifth rule. What is the fifth rule? The tea should be put straight into the pot is the fifth rule. Now let me read the next paragraph. Sixthly, one should take the teapot to the kettle and not the other way about. The water should be actually boiling at the moment of impact, which means that one should keep it on the flame while one pours. Some people add that one should only use water that has been freshly brought to the boil, but I have never noticed that it makes any difference. Sixthly, George Orwell says the boiling water should be poured from the kettle to the teapot. Some people told fresh water should be used to prepare tea, but Orwell says that he has not noticed any difference. Let me read the next paragraph. Seventhly, after making the tea, one should stir it, or better, give the pot a good shake, afterwards allowing the leaves to settle. As the seventh rule, George Orwell says after making tea, one should stir it or shake the teapot, then allow the tea leaves to settle down. Students, what is the seventh rule? One should shake the teapot, then allow the tea leaves to settle down. Next paragraph. Eighthly, one should drink out of a good breakfast cup, that is the cylindrical type of cup, not the flat, shallow type. The breakfast cup holds more, and with the other kind, one's tea is always half cool before one has well started on it. In this paragraph, he says about the cup. The cup should be in cylindrical shape, not flat one. Students, here we have a question. Why does the author prefer the cylindrical cup to a flat cup? Answer. The cylindrical cup keeps the heat for some time, so he prefers the cylindrical cup. Students, let me summarize today's portion in the prose, A Nice Cup of Tea. This is an essay by George Orwell. It is a description of the craft of making tea. The author guides the reader through instructions on how to prepare and drink tea. The central meaning within this essay relates to the method of making the perfect cup of tea. According to him, there are 11 points to follow to prepare a nice cup of tea. First of all, one should select Indian or Ceylonese tea. China tea does not have the stimulation and one does not feel good after drinking China tea. Secondly, tea should be made in teapot in small quantities. Tea should not be made in a big vessel. The teapot should be made of china or earthenware. Thirdly, the pot should be warm beforehand, keeping it on the hob. Fourthly, the tea should be strong. Fifthly, the tea should be put straight into the pot without using strainers or muslin bags. Sixthly, the teapot should be taken to the kettle and not the other way out. The water should be actually boiling at the time when tea is dropped inside. Seventhly, after making the tea, one should stir it or give the pot a good shake. Afterwards, tea leaves can be allowed to settle. Eighthly, one should use a breakfast cup to drink tea. The cylindrical type of cup will keep the heat longer. Students, in this class we have learned 8 golden rules out of 11 golden rules. The remaining rules we will learn in the next class. Students of class 12, I request you to maintain neat English notebook and write synonyms and question and its answers legibly. Once the school reopens, we will check your notebooks and you will be rewarded with internal marks. Listen the online classes, take notes and study well. We will continue this prose in the next virtual class. Thank you.